I like to get into it, and I just like start playing and start singing the track and then loop the guitar while I'm singing.
Yeah.
I really don't like having to sit there while they put down the first loop and then sit there again until it goes all the way around again, and then they start singing. So
you've been to my shows, haven't you? Just before I cut back to the full chat that Lee and I had talking about looping with the RC300, he shares in that little chat a bunch of cool looping tips and ideas that I think you'll find useful, which is why we decided to put this video out as well. But for those of you that don't know Lee, he's a professional musician in Auckland, an awesome loop artist. He's got a lot of covers that he's started uploading on his YouTube channel as well, so go and check him out. He also has opened for the FIFA Soccer World Cup Under-20s here. He kicked off the whole opening of the show, performance-wise. That was him. And he also performs all sorts of corporate events, weddings. He's released singles, albums, all sorts as well. So go and check him out. But I thought I should give you a kind of picture of who he is before we dive into this chat. So let's now cut back to it. You went from the RC30 to the RC300.
I started off RC3.
True.
I think that's the single one, right?
Yeah.
So first ever one, the first ever looper I got was the RC3, and that's kind of what I started out with. Which, I mean, it's a great little pedal for what it is, but obviously it has its. Probably the cons probably slightly outweigh the pros, I think, with that, because there's so many things that you need to do, and in order to do it, you've either got to hold down the pedal, or you've got to double stamp the pedal, or you've got to hit it 3 times to do something or other. So I quickly upgraded to the RC30, which I had for ages, and it took me so long to upgrade to the 300. I think just basically because of the size of the 300. I think that's the only thing that was putting me off, because I had to get a new.
But I mean, you were doing weddings for a long time with the RC30.
Oh man,
full show. Epic.
Oh, I mean, I still have the RC30, and I use that for the smaller gigs that I do, which is totally fine. Like, I really like it as a pedal. I just think there's just a few things on the 300 that just swayed me over. And now when I do them gigs and I go back to the 30, it's real noticeable. It's like, oh man, I was like, you had to compromise so much, you know, like kind of, again, either like holding it down or like having to change between the two. I mean, you can use an auxiliary pedal to make it easier to swap and stuff, but like the 300 is just so user friendly, just having them separate, especially having that extra, the third channel as well, you know. So it did take me a long time to do it, but once I went to the dark side.
I mean,
that was me.
So what would be your one thing, like for me setting up, getting used to the RC300, if you were like, there's one thing on the pedal you need to do, you need to understand, you need to learn, what would that be?
What I did, I mean, aside from the pedal itself, so with the pedal you can really delve into it, and you can assign. It's got the obvious all start, all stop, which is a fantastic feature, which obviously starts all and stops all the loops. What I really like about the 300 in particular is that, so you can see you've got all 3 channels going, and you've got just a simple 4-bar loop, which is just, you've got 4 to the floor, and it's a bit of a dance vibe. You can stop, say you can stop the chord progression, you can keep the rhythm track going, you can delete the other tracks while the rhythm is still going, so you can keep the 4 to the floor. If you've got people dancing, then you can start another 4-bar track. So
Sweet.
It's real nice, and it's got some nice like filtering effects on it, so you can delve into that. You can bring a bit of a filter in, and it creates like almost like a DJ remix into a new track.
Nice.
Which works really well. That's a real cool feature. But to actually, so what I do is I use I do use an auxiliary pedal, and I just use that to erase all, because that's the only thing. I mean, to be honest, the manual is a pretty beefy manual, and I couldn't really be bothered to sit and read through it all. There possibly is a way to assign maybe the effects button, or even the expression pedal. I know you can, every single button you can assign to something.
Cool.
So there might be a way to assign, say, clear all to one of the other buttons. But what I do is I use an auxiliary pedal just to clear all, which makes it real easy at the end of the song, rather than having to individually clear every single one. You know, you don't want to have to, for people to wait while you hold the foot down for 2 seconds. Hold your foot down for 2 seconds. So that's one thing. That was quite an important thing, I think. And then also, aside from the pedal itself as well, is I use an A/B pedal for my microphone, just to make it easy. Because one thing that I don't like so much with some loop artists. Sorry, you might actually do that. Just hate this one. No, but for me, I like to get into it, and I just like to start playing and start singing the track, and then loop the guitar while I'm singing. I really don't like having to sit, especially if it's like a 16 bar turnaround, and having to sit there while they put down the first loop, and then sit there again until it goes all the way around again, and then they start singing. So
you've been to my shows, haven't you?
Do you do that? So so I think having the ability to choose whether or not, so a simple little, either, obviously I think Ed Sheeran is the main example who has that 2 mic setup, and I've seen a lot of people use that. I just have a little A/B pedal, and I can choose whether or not I want to record the vocal. And I think that's for me, just not having to sit there and kind of wait for that. Just gonna start singing any minute. It just feels a bit more seamless. People are just kind of like, when did he record that? It's looping. I didn't even notice. Rather than it being like an obvious, I'm gonna start looping now.
Nice.
But what was the question again?
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it, man.